Testing one, two, testing one, two. There we go. Hysteria when you're near. Welcome to a Wednesday, halfway through the work week. That light at the end of the tunnel, we're going to make it. It's not an oncoming train. Welcome to the Weather Mic. It's 9:36 in the morning here in western Iowa. Hope you're having a great day so far. And here's how your day looks as far as watches and warnings go. Mostly the western half of the United States, especially along the west coast. Up there, Oregon, Washington, Columbia River Gorge, we continue with our wind advisory. So be advised it's going to be windy. Red flag warnings are up across the Intermountain West and also into parts of the plains with some pretty good winds here as well. Then you get to the center of California, and those central valleys are baking in the sun. Heat advisories here. Be advised it's going to be heat and hot, and excessive heat warnings along the coast even. So I think a little Santa Ana setup going on with that offshore wind bringing in the heat from the deserts all the way to the coast. And the deserts are very hot. Excessive heat watch going on here all the way from southern Arizona up along the Colorado River into southern California deserts up into, Las Vegas. And then you get into Texas. And if you've been watching Storm Runner Media, love those chasers. They're out of Arizona, but they chase all over the country, and they've been chasing the floods in Texas the last couple of days. And we continue with flood warnings with some rivers out of their banks there in central Texas. So flash flood warnings and flood warnings and watches in effect for central Texas still today, even though the rain is moving off to the east, which we'll show you here in a little bit. Which I forgot to tell you, got a blockbuster show for you. So like extra maps and some zooming ins into regions and stuff, like our weather spotlight. This is Saturday morning, as a cold front will be moving through the northern plains and into the Midwest. And we're starting Saturday morning in northern Wisconsin and parts of Minnesota in the 30s. So mid to upper 30s to start the day Saturday in Wisconsin and a little bit of Minnesota. 40s widespread Michigan, Minnesota, into Iowa, where I live. It's going to be like 42 to start the day Saturday. I'm so excited about this. And so fall is coming, and a pretty good cold front for the northern plains we'll show you here in just a bit. But back to the flooding in Texas. So here we are zoomed in to Texas, Louisiana. This is the last 3 days of rain. And you see the central part of Texas, and you start getting into the browns there and the deeper browns there. I mean, we're talking, even the yellow is 4 inches. And then you get into the browns, you're talking 6 and then 8. And the deep browns, 10. There's a little bit of that here. I mean, just widespread, 2 up to 10 inches of rain in a wide area here in Texas. No wonder there's been flooding. And even though the rain is moving to the east, the flooding continues because it takes a while for that stuff to run downhill through the rivers. And then you look down towards like Galveston Bay, Houston area. There's some 4 inches of rain there in the last 3 days. And even parts of Louisiana getting into the act with, more like 2 or so. But that's going to change Louisiana because you've got some big rains coming. This is the next 2 days. And so along the Texas Gulf Coast, we could see isolated 6 inches or so, from, I'd say, almost Corpus Christi, but north to Houston. And then you get into Louisiana, widespread 1 to 3 inches, and local amounts 4 to even 6 here. So that's where the rain is going. Mississippi, you're getting in on the act too. Not quite as bad, but still 2-3 inches of rain for some areas here. And then as we head over to Florida, this is also the next 2 days of rain. So just taking a closer look to New Orleans, we can see New Orleans a little better on this map too. So near 4 inches for parts of New Orleans there, Lake Pontchartrain. And then you head into Florida, and we're looking at a lot of rain too, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain in spots. All right, severe weather across the country today, back to our front in the northern plains. So along and ahead of that front is where we could see some isolated severe thunderstorms. No tornado threat or anything like that, but some of the storms could have some damaging winds or large hail, the main threat. Otherwise, the light green is your regular thunderstorms, mainly across the southeast and up the Mississippi River Valley. And we can see that on the surface today. Our cold front moving through Montana and North Dakota today, and out and around that, we do see our showers and storms. And maybe some snow for Yellowstone, or at least rain mixed with snow for Yellowstone and other parts of Wyoming, and a little bit of Montana. There's ski areas there in southern Montana. And then there's the heavy rain for Louisiana along that stationary front. So we've got a low that's tracking very slowly through Texas. Out ahead of it along that stationary front, that moist air from the Gulf and that stationary front has been the focus for the rain. That's what's been going on in Texas. That's moving slowly eastward today. Then we look at tomorrow's surface, and you see things not moving a whole lot for Louisiana, Mississippi with that heavy rainfall. And that's what happened in Texas. It just sat there for a couple, 3 days. Louisiana, Mississippi is going to sit there for a couple, 3 days. Meanwhile, our cold front, I'll only go back to yesterday and then today, cold front now moving through Minnesota, South Dakota, approaching Iowa. And this is our best chance of rain. Would be tomorrow with some scattered storms ahead of the front, but not a really big chance. But as that front moves southward into the northern plains and eventually the central and south plains, we'll see a focus for a chance of storms. And then across the southeast with that stationary front and moisture. Friday, our cold front makes further progress south and east through Michigan now, Indiana, Missouri, Kansas. And behind that is that cool air, as I showed you those lows for Saturday morning. So it's going to be fall-like briefly. I mean, it's going to warm back up fairly quickly, but it's going to be nice and cool for a day or two. In fact, highs today, let's just look at where I live in Iowa. We're looking at 80s today, even 89 for I think that's Lincoln. It's a little further east than Hastings, I think. 87 for Omaha, which is probably the closest big city to me. We're usually about 5 degrees cooler, so low 80s here in western Iowa, but I mean 80s, right? And then we get into tomorrow, and it's near 80, and then Friday for Iowa in the 70s. So yeah, that's what's happening with that front. So back to today, I want you to look at the Pacific Northwest because it's heating up. Portland 94, Eugene 93, 10 something for Medford, 104 Redding, 102 is that Sacramento, 103 Fresno, and Bakersfield, 113 El Centro, 108 Phoenix. And then as we get into tomorrow, 101 for Portland. Oh my gosh. So the heat is on, 111 for Phoenix tomorrow. Friday, 99 for Portland. And Phoenix at 109. So 111 Lake Havasu. So it's going to be hot in the west and cooling off in the east. So, highs today. I wanted to hit the mid-Atlantic, nice and pleasant, 70s to near 80, and then a little cooler as you head up the East Coast. 80s to near 90 for Florida, near 90 for a lot of the Southeast, even with the rain in Louisiana, still low 90s. And then tomorrow, with that rain cooled air, Louisiana, Mississippi cooling off. And again, the cold front in the north cooling things off. And then as we get into Friday, we see those 50s for highs for parts of Wisconsin and Michigan. All right, real quick, let's take a look at the European model and see where it's raining and where it's fixing to rain. But I think we already know. Right. So currently, it's at 12Z. So actually, this would be 7 o'clock this morning. So a couple hours ago, you see the rain persisting along the Texas Gulf Coast, a little bit of light rain in Texas. And as we go through the day, I want you to watch up here too, because as our front heads southward and eastward, we'll see a few showers bust out here. But this is the main event down here. So 18Z, -5, -12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, Central Time. And then as we get later into the afternoon and into the evening, you see those widespread showers down here. Now, here's our front. This is tonight, and we're starting to see a thunderstorm or two that are kind of big, South Dakota. Remember, this is our area of marginal risk for severe weather. So there might be a storm or two that are severe moving in through Minnesota into Wisconsin as we get to midnight tonight, early morning tomorrow. And we can see that front making southward progress into Iowa now as we get into the day on Thursday. What was that little blip? Now remember, this is a computer model, so these storms aren't going to be exactly here at exactly these times, but this is the trend. So maybe some storms along this front, maybe on the strong side for northeastern Iowa into Wisconsin. And then as we get into the day on Thursday, we can see those storms now in Michigan. And we're going to see a low form right here as we get into the weekend. So we'll see and look at this heavy rain in the southeast. That's just going crazy. This is Friday morning. And then as we get into the day Friday, look how much farther east and south the front has gone as we're Friday afternoon here. So in the Ohio Valley could be some storms busting out along that front. But that front is all the way through West Texas now. So cooling off quite a bit south. And then the core of the cool air is going to be up in the Great Lakes and upper Midwest. And as we get into, this is midnight Friday, this is that low I was talking about, forming along that front and moving into Canada with a focus of some better showers and storms for the eastern Great Lakes down into West Virginia and Kentucky. And then you see the heavy rain in the southeast moving into the Carolinas as we get into Saturday morning. And again, this is that cold air settling in. So when I showed you those lows Saturday morning, that's what's happening behind this front. So these are the 30s and 40s in this area here Saturday morning. And then as we get through the rest of the weekend, or at least into Sunday, you can see that front making better progress, and that cool air will be shifting eastward. And actually the warm air from the west will be moving back in to cool the Midwest up. Yeah, kind of quickly. I mean, we're going to have a couple cool days. So Saturday across the country looks like this for highs. So we'll start from west to east. So not as hot Portland, 91, 92 Eugene, but still hot for this time of year. 98 for Yakima, I think that is. 97 Spokane, 103 for Moscow, Idaho. And the 100s in California, especially when you get into the deserts, well over 100. 107 for Phoenix. And then, where our cold front is up in the Great Lakes, this is highs Saturday in the 50s and 60s, mostly 60s. And then even into like Iowa, where I am, 70s for highs. I don't know who decided blood red for 70s on this map. It's annoying, but anyway. So these are Saturday's highs. And then when we go into Sunday, watch the cool air shift eastward. And things cool off in the Pacific Northwest as well. So there's the cool air shifting eastward into Pennsylvania, New York State, and starting to warm up now a little bit. Near 80 for Omaha, for example, near 90 in southern South Dakota, and up there in northwestern Kansas. And so the warm air returning back into the plains and warming things back up. So just a quick cool off. The desert Southwest doesn't change much, though. It's just going to stay hot. 6 to 10 day temperatures. And so we do see that cooler air moving eastward, the warm air moving eastward, but still hot, the western 2/3 of the country, except for Sands, Texas, I guess. And so cooler than average for much of Texas all the way up to the East Coast, and the Northeast is the coolest, or the best chance for cooler than average temperatures. And then it's going to be dry much of the country except for the Pacific Northwest, where our fortunes will change, and they'll be happy with that after those triple digits, a chance to cool off a little bit and get some rain. And then down along the southeast, particularly Florida, with our best chance for above average precipitation. So there you have it, our whirlwind tour of the country. Hot west turning cooler, much cooler for the Great Lakes and Midwest, moving eastward, and then our heavy rain for the southeast. And so that's a look at your forecast through the weekend. That's what we do here. We try to do it every day. Sundays usually not, though, just because church and stuff. But anyway, I'm glad you tuned in. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you again tomorrow on the Weather Mic.